You know, after giving an analysis of a Radiohead song in my last video, I thought I'd vary up the content by talking about The Smile, the Radiohead side project featuring Tom York and Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead. Fuck me sideways, I need to vary up the content. So The Smile released a new song last week. Sorry I'm a bit late to it. I'm usually pretty late to things. Like last week I figured out the Berlin Wall collapsed. What the hell? And you know what? I thought I'd give my thoughts on the track because I've seen some conflicting opinions on it. Some people are calling it a beautiful tone setter for the upcoming album, and other people are calling it things like bad, among other synonyms. And me personally, I'm right in the middle. But to get to that, let's cover The Smile. There's a surprising amount to cover here. The Smile, formed in 2021, are an alternative rock band consisting of Radiohead's Tom York, Johnny Greenwood, and Sons of Kemet drummer... I forgot his name, what was it? Sons of Kemet drummer Tom Skinner. Making their debut at the Glastonbury Festival in May of 2021, they released their debut album, A Light for Attracting Attention, in 2022, an album that I will gush over until the cows come home. Such a weird analogy. This is such a cool album, man. The way it so creatively fuses alternative rock with electronic music, art pop, and everything in between, it really is a brilliant listen. Could this be Radiohead bias? Yeah, I enjoyed The King of Limbs, anything is possible these days. But seriously, if you haven't given this album a shot, I really recommend it. It's something special. But I'm not here to talk about A Light for Attracting Attention, I'm here to talk about one song. Because I didn't have time for 13 of them. So of course, like any reasonable band, they went on an international tour in support of the album across the United States and Europe. I live in Australia. God damn it. You know, I'm just convinced these guys hate Australia. Tom York and Johnny Greenwood haven't touched Australian soil since 2012, and Tom Skinner hasn't touched it once. Enough bitching for now. What I found most interesting about the tour was that they actually debuted a few new songs. There were 8 new songs total that weren't on A Light for Attracting Attention, and 5 of them would make it onto Wall of Eyes, the upcoming album from The Smile. There's been leaks and rumors about this coming soon, but it finally got announced last week alongside a new single. Back in June, The Smile released Bending Hectic, an 8-minute epic that absolutely blew my mind the first time I listened to it, but it was released as a standalone single, not tied into an album at all, which left a lot of people wondering, if this wasn't for an album, what the hell were they working on? The hell do you think they were working on? So yes, just last week The Smile announced their new album, Wall of Eyes, releasing in January of 2024, man, I can't wait that long. And right alongside it was a song and music video with the very same name, Wall of Eyes. And I gotta say, after listening to it critically a solid 10 times, it's just alright. This won't be an in-depth analysis like with my Glass Eyes video, it'll more so be an overview of the music itself, maybe I'll touch a bit on the lyrics, and most importantly, since it said as the album opener, is it an effective one? But before getting into the song itself, I want to go over the music video because this is cool. The music video for Wall of Eyes was directed by the brilliant Paul Thomas Anderson, who's done some work with Tom York before. This is of course in the form of the brilliant anime short film, which I've seen multiple times and every single time it brings me to tears. Which really says something because I have absolutely no clue what's going on. The brilliant set design, cinematography, and the way the music is used so effectively throughout the film makes for a mind-blowing experience, and one that I seriously recommend you check out. I'd love to do a fully fledged video on this short film one day, but right now we're focusing on this one. The entire thing is in black and white with these very brief sequences of colour and explores Tom going through the world as everything becomes more deranged. It's slow and very subtle, which I think goes perfectly with the song. Towards the opening there's a literal wall of eyes. Wall of eye, actually, there's only one here. There's this beautiful contrast between Tom going through the very slow world as everything around him is quick and sudden, almost repeated. It's kind of scary. It creates this brilliant atmosphere that really complements the song and made me appreciate the song itself a lot more. Maybe I'm reading a bit too deep into it, but I really like how Tom actually shows emotion when enclosed in this room by himself, but then when he goes out into the world, he's pretty much emotionless. Oh, there's the Wall of Eyes. Towards the end, Tom slowly begins to drown in sync with the song's string section. It's really eerie. It's almost a representation of the way society consumes you. Or maybe I'm just reading too deep into it, I really don't know anymore. You have these rhythm guitars slowly getting louder at the end of the song as the camera slowly pans across this room of Tom's. They're all in this very panicked, agitated state, almost mimicking the world that Tom saw earlier in the song. The world has kind of consumed him and made him just like everyone else, this very stale, repetitive, fast person with no real emotional intentions. Or maybe Paul Thomas Anderson just liked the idea of 50 Toms being in a room. It is pretty funny, honestly. My favourite bit is when the camera stops panning and lands on these 2 Toms here. One almost ghostly and then one a bit more present? I can't really think of a word here. They both just look on with this sense of fear and disappointment in their eyes at what he's become. What the world's become. And then boom, Wall of Eyes. That's a cool music video. The way it so subtly yet eerily conveys society's needs for a routine and how this can just consume someone entirely is really brilliant. I just really like the way it works in tandem with the song itself. Both are really slow and subtle, yet create this brilliantly eerie atmosphere. Oh yeah, and the song itself, I should probably talk about that one, hey. As I said before, I've seen some conflicting opinions on this one. A lot of people really like the unique atmosphere it creates, but a lot of people are also just really indifferent on the song and the way it just doesn't go anywhere. And honestly, I agree with both sides, so I'm gonna get into that a bit. The song itself is admittedly very slow, with just Tom and a guitar for a good chunk of it. But honestly, I kinda dig it. It gives me a similar vibe to a moon-shaped pool, but even more stripped back. It creates this really eerie, intimate feeling, which is supported by the production here. It feels almost claustrophobic, but in a good way, if that makes any sense. Everything feels incredibly close and vibrant. It's a new direction for the Smile, but one that I'm really interested in. It's actually one of the only Radiohead-related projects I can think of off the top of my head that wasn't produced by Nigel Godrich. Instead, it was done by Sam Davies, who has previously worked on the Suspirium soundtrack with Tom. You know, now that we're so far into the video, I should probably specify I've been talking about Tom York for most of this. There are two Toms in this band, it gets really annoying. I really enjoy the Suspirium soundtrack, and one of the things that really sells it is the production and mixing, so it's great to have him back for a Smile project. If I had to say anything else about production, I really dig the panning in the song. During the verses, the sound of the guitar is consistently in the middle, but then during the chorus, it moves from left to right. It's trippy. The string section does a similar thing, and overall it just messes with you in the best way possible. Anyways, back to the song. As I was saying, most of it is just Tom and an acoustic guitar with some drums and a string section in the background. Let's try and break this down bit by bit. I really don't know how to review a song. You know, some people have complained in recent years that Tom's voice has aged. No, it hasn't. His voice on this song is sublime, and it comes through brilliantly, more so than most songs recently. As usual, his voice is in a higher register, but like when was the last time it was in a low one? 2003? It's so smooth, man. Like, I don't know how to describe someone's voice without sounding like a creep. It's just so pretty. Overall, he just weaves in with the song's atmosphere perfectly. It's off-putting, but in a really nice way, which is brought out even further by this really unique drumming from Tom. This Tom, not that Tom. This is so fucking confusing. Though quiet, it's never lost in the mix, and it almost reminds me of the amazing sounds of Orgy in terms of what it adds to the atmosphere. One of the highlights for me though is Johnny's string arrangement. It's Johnny Greenwood, of course it's gonna be beautiful. This one's less so beautiful as much as it is eerie though, which is really the whole goal of the song. It starts off very slow and quiet and maintains that through a good chunk of the song before really coming through at the end. It's this slow, scary, hopeless arrangement that just really mixes with the song. It's very present and definitely makes you feel uncomfortable, but it never takes away from the simplicity of the song. There's some rhythm guitar distortion at the end. I don't know what to say about that. Before delving into the lyrics, I want to go over some little things in the song that I find neat. There's these really weird booming sounds throughout that don't come from the drums. I don't know what they are, I just think they're really cool. They do some really cool stuff with panning in the latter half of the song. The way everything harmonizes in the left ear is really neat. Those are all the neat little musical things I picked up on as someone whose musical talent extends to knowing how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb on piano. I'm very talented. Well, with that out of the way, let's delve into the lyrics. Like I said, this isn't going to be an in-depth analysis like with my glass size video. I'm just going to give an overall view. Lyrically, this song explores the same concepts that the music video did. A society so obsessed with perfection and routines that it kind of forgets that imperfection is what makes us human. It immediately draws you in with lyrics about going down a peg or two and the symbolism of the wall of eyes. Holy shit, I just realized I've talked about two eye-related songs in a row! The way the song so gently questions if that's still you and describing the hollow eyes as a way of hiding our emotions. It's really beautiful. The composition is simple to reflect the simplicity of what society has become. The chorus of trying but it not going away brilliantly represents the way it's so difficult to escape society's control. The second verse conveys these ideas as well, with these beautiful, rich and white grains of sand simply slipping through our hands as we lose who we really are. As the song closes, it very hopelessly questions if that's still you, going back to the idea of hollow eyes and the way we've lost who we really are. The song as a whole is a poignant reminder to maintain who you are in spite of everything around you. We consistently feel a need to perfect everything and develop these insane routines, and in the process we lose what is really important. Being human. It's a beautiful piece lyrically, and something that I think is really relevant in today's climate. It's a very important message, and something that I'm very glad this Smile decided to communicate in 2023. Except this wasn't written in 2023, this is a poem all the way from 2011. Yeah, all of these lyrics were included in the King Lim's newspaper edition from over 12 years ago, the only difference being that Wall of Eyes was originally Wall of Ice. That doesn't take anything away from these lyrics, if anything, it's cool to see it finally come to fruition. Overall, regardless of whether it was written in 2011 or 2023, the message is prevalent as ever. So you may be wondering, well Lucas, if you've been kissing this song's ass the entire time, why do you feel so indifferent about it? Because it doesn't go anywhere. Look, I'm not saying every song has to have some crazy groundbreaking moment, but this song builds and then reaches nothing. Like you have that rising string section, those booming drums, that slow guitar distortion. You're expecting something to happen, and then it just ends. It doesn't ruin the song for me, in fact I still really enjoy the song, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a bit disappointed by that. The opening track and A Light for Attracting Attention, the same, doesn't really do anything crazy musically, but that's because it doesn't really build up to anything, which is why any slight change in the music is a lot more impactful. This one just feels like the definition of edging but with music. It's good, but it could have been a lot more. But then again, it is only the opening track. It's there to set an atmosphere, and I think it does that brilliantly. It creates this really eerie atmosphere, and if this is what the album is going for, I'm very excited for it. And it's not like they're afraid to do anything crazy on this album. Bending Hectic is gonna be on here, and that has one of the coolest climaxes of any Smile song so far. So overall, I think Wall of Eyes is a pretty good song. It's not mind-blowing, it's not crazy, but it doesn't have to be. Lyrically, it's poignant, everything that does happen in the song is very cool, and the music video is great. I think it's important to appreciate this song for what it is, rather than what it isn't. And what it is a very unique album opener that offers a bunch of promise for the album itself. Now, you're allowed to have any perspective on this song that you want, I understand that. But if you didn't appreciate this bit in the music video with like 50 toms, you're an absolutely miserable person.